What is up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. This is the Matt Ramage Show. We have a fantastic guest today. We're talking to the director of the Green and Gold movie. You might have seen it, you might not have, but no fear. If you haven't seen it yet, it's going to be streaming tomorrow. On April 1st, the streaming begins. And let me look at where you can rent this thing from your couch on Apple TV, Amazon Prime Video, Fandango, at home, and Google Play. Also, big shout out to Culver's, who financed this movie, did a lot of good stuff for them. And Culver's, you know what I mean? You can't beat it. You know what I mean? Culver's, you should sponsor me too. You know what I mean? But I do love me some Culver's. I think it's very great what they did for this movie because this is a movie about farmers, right? Green and gold. We're gonna get into this thing, talking to the director, but this is a fantastic movie. It's a good family movie, a movie you watch with the whole family. It talks about the farming life, but also the Packer world just a little bit. You know what I mean? We all love the Packers. But before we get into that, let's give a shout out to some great sponsors. We got Nick Law, we got Quick Trip. If you are headed to Green Bay for the NFL draft coming up this month in April, be sure to check out Quick Trip. You've never been to Wisconsin land, you know what I mean? Quick Trip is a spot. You get your beer, you get your ice, you get your food. They got the hot spot. They got food waiting on you. You know what I mean? It's waiting on you just to be eaten. So be sure to check in to Quick Trip. They got the hot spot. They got the beer. They got the food. If you're going to be barbecuing, doing whatever, head out Quick Trip. And they got the clean bathroom. So if you're passing through Wisconsin, you know what I mean, trying to get to Lambeau Field, got to use the rest area a little bit. Just be assured that Quick Trip, they got it cleaned up for you. You know what I mean? And also, Nick Law, if you get hurt, injured in a car accident, Nick Law's got the hookup. If you're coming to the draft and you're driving through Wisconsin, that Midwest area, you're going to start seeing these Nick Law signs popping up with the old bearded maestro on that thing. You know what I mean? So a big shout out to Nick Law, big shout out to Russell, and Quick Trip, as always. But let's get into this. We have a great guest today. Like I said, and we're going to learn about this Green and Gold movie. And like I said, if you haven't seen it, be sure to check it out. You know what I mean? Go Pack, go people. Hope you enjoyed this episode. This was a really fun one to make. And be sure if you haven't checked out Man Cave Monday. I did one last night, and we had a great guest for that, and it showed me some stuff. We talked some football. That's over on YouTube. That's over on Facebook. Not on the podcast, but it's over there. And also, if you want yourself a draft day hoodie, draft day shirt, I got a new one. I should have been wearing it right here for this YouTube. But you can go to themattramage.com and find all my merch over there. Get set up. If you buy it right now, I think it might be there before the draft. Usually it doesn't take that long. So be sure to check out themattramage.com. Get yourself a draft day hoodie. Get yourself a draft day shirt. Enjoy the draft, baby. And if you see me out there at the draft, be sure to say hi. You know what I mean? I always like meeting new people. Go Pack, go. Hope you enjoy the episode. You know what is up, everyone? Like I said, we are here with Green and Gold director Anders Lindwall. How you doing, man?
Hey, doing pretty good today. Yeah, doing real good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad to have you on. The movie is like I hear everyone talking about it. My mother-in-law went to it. She loved it. She said it was sold out, and I think she's like the
Nice.
Door County area.
Yeah.
So,
No,
uh,
it's awesome.
how is that?
Yeah, it's surreal. I had a friend who was up I think she was in the Sturgeon Bay theater, and she said it's like a 3 p.m. on Thursday, and people are clapping at the end of this thing up here. So that just warms my heart. The fact that it's connecting with that type of audience. It's like square in our demographic of who we want, who we really made it for. So
Yes. So like, is that a lot of stress? Like when it goes into theaters? Because I used to watch Entourage a lot. I don't know if you ever watched that show.
no, I haven't, but I
But
know familiar with it.
it's about Hollywood guys, you know, like their
Sure.
entourage, and they would
Yeah.
always talk about like when a movie was coming out, that was like a big stress. Everyone's like, don't read the
Don't read.
reviews and all that.
Yeah.
But how is that like
Yeah.
as the movie's coming out?
It's been I'm a pretty emotionally resilient person. I mean, I'm growing up in the UP. It's like I can half shelve my feelings and not even think about them. But it was more vulnerable than I thought actually when we released it because I didn't think about it because this is our first time doing anything like this. So I didn't really think about everything people would say. I mean, we made it with such, I think, a really pure spirit and pure idea, and which is what you want to do as an artist. It's like that's what our focus is. It's like trying to tell something that's authentic and true to our life experience and be as real as you can about that. So, but yeah, when it came time to releasing it, all of a sudden it was like, you know, when people are, I was like, the New York Times is commenting on this thing. I was like, what in the world, you know? Didn't even think about that stuff. So, you know, I quickly realized that I needed to not, and I get this from a lot of pro athletes, you know, like a lot of the athletes, it's like they ignore the chatter, like put your head down, get back to work, keep going, you know? And so I think that's a lot of what I've had to do with specifically like the larger press stuff. We get a lot of like amazing messages and like incredible support from like audience reviews and stuff like that. Like I'm pretty in tune with, and that's been really, really awesome and validating to be honest with you. So
Yeah, I think that like when you put it out, like I've done podcasts with like players, so they get more eyes on them, more listens. Not to compare it to
yeah,
a movie, but
sure.
more
No, I
people.
think so.
But then you get like comments, like some are like, "Oh, that's awesome that you got to talk to Preston Smith." Other people are like, "Why is Preston Smith wasting his time with this
Yeah,
idiot?"
totally. Yeah, people are ruthless out there, man. And I think it's also the hard part about it is you can't defend yourself, you know? That's you're at the mercy of whatever people want to say and you can't. I remember Winston Churchill said he's like you never throw a stick or if you go and throw a stick at every dog that barks at you, you never get anywhere in life. And I've had to think about that a lot where it's like, you know, some things it's like, you know, people are just I don't know. There's like silly comments where I'm like, man, I would love to sit down and show you what it's like to make an independent film. Like
Yeah, dude, I can't
if you had
imagine.
that experience, there was no way you come out, you know, with much better. So it's yeah, that's just been yeah, that's I guess it's just mostly been new for me more than anything.
Yeah, so this is your first movie. Do you plan on being like now like the Steven Spielberg of the world?
Yeah, of northern Wisconsin and Michigan. Yeah, exactly. No, I mean to be honest, yeah, partly. You know, that's it's been such a dream. Like the whole
Yeah,
project. It's you hear horror stories of you know people throwing things at each other. You know, like the Hollywood stuff too. Of everybody's stressed, and I mean it. There's a
yeah.
lot of stress on these things, but the overwhelming feeling was just positive and fun and like beautiful opportunities to share with people. You know, something that is meaningful to you. So I think we've definitely. I mean, my brother and I have like two other concepts that take place right back up in that North Woods that we'd love to film if we get the chance to go again. So it's
That's awesome.
yeah, we'll see.
So let's rewind, bring it all the way back.
Hmm.
Um, how does this whole thing? I kind of know because I was over there at Lambeau Field when you guys were talking
Yeah,
about it,
yeah,
but
sure.
let everyone know like how did this whole thing like the first day where you guys were like, let's do this.
Yeah, no, that's a good because it's tough because it's there's no clear path when you say I want to make a movie. It's like okay, where do you start? And you know, for us, it was like we needed funding, we needed cash. We had this idea. Our grandfather was a dairy farmer, and we wanted to, you know, tell the story of the people group that we grew up around, which is, you know, salt of the earth folks from the North Woods.
Yeah,
And so when we had this, we made like a rip reel and we do commercial production. So this isn't like totally out of the realm. I'm not like a dentist deciding I want to make a movie. It's like I'm kind of already I'm like a notch in this direction already. And so we had edited together what the movie would feel like if it was a trailer just from footage we placed around, or you know from like other movies that kind of thing. And yeah, and when we played it for a guy he owned a NASCAR team and was a commercial client of ours, and we played it for him, and he was like, "Man, this looks awesome. We should do this." And we were like, "Okay." Like how much do you want to do this you know
yeah.
and so but he was the first guy, he was the guy who believed in us. And so when we had that was like one of the first moments where it was like okay, this could be a thing, is we had somebody who was willing to put cash behind it. And then you know the other big kind of pivotal moment was when we had the script then written, and then when Craig T. Nelson said he like called us the next day after and was like I want to be a part of this. That was the next kind of like kaboom,
Yeah.
this thing's going. This isn't just like me and my brother messing around with our friends, you know. This is like this is going to be a movie. So,
How did like Craig T. Nelson like did you guys have to harass him to get his attention?
no,
Because even like Charlie Barron, you try to get in his DMs,
yeah, no,
it's
it's
tough.
not through
So like, how do
DMs.
you get to? Obviously, you didn't DM him, but like, how do you like? Obviously, reach out to agents and all that. Was
Yep.
that really hard to do for someone big
Yeah,
like him?
yeah. It's like it was right place, right time kind of thing. We had a casting, these two ladies, they were our casting directors. They took us on as kind of like, they had a gap in their schedule, and they thought the project was kind of interesting. So they said, we can help you guys out, try to do the main casting parts. And so then, they said, who do you guys want? And we were like, we want Craig T. Nelson. And they were like, okay, guys, like, we're already doing you a favor by helping you out. Like, who else do you guys want? And so we had looked, Forey Smith from Yellowstone was interesting, or Chris Cooper. But the truth, we just said, we feel like Craig is the perfect role for this. He especially for the Midwest audience, like we all grew up watching him coach.
Yeah.
And then the younger generation knows him from Parenthood. Like he spans the full gamut of audiences, which is kind of amazing, to see. Like, you'll see a 10-year-old kid going bananas for him from Young Sheldon, it's like, it's just crazy. So, but yeah, the next day, so they kind of obligatory, they just said, okay, we'll pass it to him. And we said, okay, great. And it was the next day they called us and they're like, you guys, we cannot believe this, but he wants to talk to you. And that was crazy, just hopping on a Zoom with this guy you've looked at your whole life,
Yeah.
And that was, but he signed on. Like, after that conversation, he goes, I'm going to do this project with you guys. We got a few things to figure out, just like timing, how much cash you have, that kind of stuff. But he's like, I'm going to do this with you guys. And I was like, I cried, to be honest. I wept.
Yeah.
So,
that's awesome.
Come true. Yeah, it's a dream come true. It's like, not everybody gets that kind of thing.
Craig T. Nelson is like, me and my wife watch Coach. Like tonight, I'll watch it every night, because like my wife likes to watch old shows like before bed, because you're nothing near like dialed in, do something you've seen 100 times, kind of just chill. And it's usually Coach. Yeah. And I absolutely love him. Like, even seeing him when I was at Lambeau Field, and he like
did you get a picture with him?
No, I didn't. I didn't get that close.
Man.
But
you should have tapped me and been like, hey, give me a quick pic or something.
Yeah, I didn't want to be a bother, because like everything was happening over there. But even seeing him speak, I got a little video of him as he was speaking. He's just the man. He's so good. And I think it's cool that he's in this movie, because like you hear about actors doing like passion projects, or like something that they really believe in, or they it's not all about the money on everything, because I'm sure he's doing well in that area. But
he's doing okay. Yeah, he's good. He's surviving,
So he was telling this story though, that like you only had one camera. Yeah. Do you want to tell that story where he was like, no, we need another one?
Yeah, well, he, because he hadn't done an indie movie, I don't remember, since he was, like 40 years old. This has been a long time. So he's just been on like Hollywood's, studio lots, doing the big stuff, big movies like Book Club, all that kind of. And so he shows up to Wisconsin here, and he sees, me and my pals, and we got one camera. I mean, it's a nice camera. Don't get me wrong. Like, it was Panavision. It's like, it's the real deal. But he, on day 2, he pulled me aside and he's like, hey, where's the other camera, that you guys would be shooting with, to do, because you're filming one direction and then you flip it around and you film the other way. He's like, why don't we just shoot one at each? And I was like, we can't afford that. I was like, I got to pay then a whole nother camera operator. I got to rent a whole nother camera for 20 days. I was like, we don't got that. And he's like, well, can you just figure it out with my people? Like, I'll do whatever we need to do. Let's just get another camera here, because I think it would help what we're making. Like, it's already awesome. Let's keep like putting the gas pedal on it. And I was like speechless. I was like, I don't know what to say to that, man. Like, you didn't have to do this project. We could have made a big piece of crap film for him, and he would have wasted a whole month and a half of his life. And but here he is, like, coming out, taking a flyer on people who've never made a real movie before, and rolling around in independent film Wisconsin and on dairy farms. It's real there. And then he just like buys us a second camera. I was like, what am I supposed to say to that? He just like lavished us just through. It was like, whatever you guys want. And so
that's awesome.
Yeah. We've developed a really sweet friendship from it. He'll call me every couple months and be like, what's the next project we're going to do? And I'm like, I gotta pay this one off to the investors and get ready for the next one. So we got, because I would love to. He's just such an awesome guy, and his experience and how he, how he interacts with everybody, just it elevates the whole thing. Everybody loves him.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know all the history of every actor on the movie, but I assume like
Yeah.
having someone like him, like a lot
Yeah.
of actors. I watch a lot of interviews with like my favorite actors,
Okay.
and they always say like the first time working with Nicholson or like different
Yeah.
actors, where it was like, oh my goodness, like I think it lifts everyone up and like makes everyone better. And
Yeah.
I'm sure he's given some tips. Maybe I don't like I say I don't know.
Yeah.
Some of the actors might have been veteran actors. I'm not trying to say it's
Yeah.
like, but I'm
No,
sure
it was.
that helps a lot.
Yeah, it was cool. He would do this thing where an actor, because we don't have enough time to do real rehearsals on an
All right.
independent film. You're getting like people are driving up from Chicago because you afford them for one day. They like get there in the morning, they're in wardrobe, and then they like throw them out the door to us, and we're like, all right, here we go, and action. And but he would go up to him. They would come out of wardrobe and hair and makeup and stuff, and Craig would go up to him, and he would just start improv. He'd be like, hey, come here, and he would just start jumping into lines with them, and they would be thrown off because it's Craig, but then now they're like he's asking them to like act and riff
Yeah, on
with
the
them. It was
spot.
pretty cool. It was really special, and it, like you're saying, it just elevated. They were all of a sudden now like in pro mode with him. Like, okay, let's do this. So it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool too that Charlie Barron's had an
Mm.
appearance in there, and I was thinking about this like when I was watching one of the skits that Charlie and Craig did, and I was
Yeah,
like, because Charlie's really good. He's I think to me the best at what he does, the
yeah,
videos of the skits, like
yep,
the stuff that they do, that group of people, they're the
yep.
best. But like Craig T. Nelson, like seeing him on a skit like that is such good acting beyond like a sketch. And like
Yeah,
when I think that one when he was in the theater about owing him $25 or whatever,
yeah. He's like, you owe me
that's
20 bucks.
that was so good.
Yeah, he's like, I know you. I know you. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's funny to just to have like Charlie obviously does what he does, but then to have like a legit big time actor like in a skit that
yeah.
style, I thought that was great. They're both
Dude,
great.
I wish we could have on it. I wish Charlie had we met him, I think after the script was already written, and we were like later on in casting, and we finally got a hold of him through an agent or DM or whatever it was, and he came on. But I wish, in hindsight, because he's such a brilliant writer, I
Yeah,
this movie could have been actually a lot better if he would have been a part of some of the writing process, because the stuff he comes up with
yeah,
is it's just unbelievable. It's so funny.
dude, it is, and like just like the topics. It's like how do they
Yeah.
think of that stuff? But
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. They're
dude,
they're
I want to
so
be
yeah.
in one of your movies, just like in the background. I don't have to have a
Okay.
word.
Next
Just
one.
someone like just walks by. You know what I mean?
Here we go. There
No
we go.
pressure.
Next one. I'm into it, Matt. I'm into it. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about this movie for the folks who haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Let's go through the story and then like how the story, because first of all I think even if the Packers weren't involved, this is a good story. And I know farmers. I wouldn't say I know farmers, but I know milk truck drivers.
There we go.
I work at a cheese factory, right? And I don't
Okay.
have that same job anymore, but I used to unload the milk trucks or whatever. So
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like milk truck drivers are either like they used to be farmers or they still farm on the side. So I feel like I got kind of a grip of like what kind of people that they are and
Yeah.
they're good people.
Yeah.
But like tell us about this story and like how and like what it means to everyone. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So this story, it's a story that follows an old dairy farmer in Wisconsin who's trying to save his little family farm from going under. It's like super simple, right? And
yeah,
then you've got the kind of the different parts to the story is his granddaughter is this musician who's living in the barn. She wants nothing to do. Get off the farm. Get off the farm. And she convinces him to make a bet with this banker to extend the life of the loan if the Packers win the Super Bowl. And so, yeah, it's just like, but it's ultimately it's just a real family story, and it tries to highlight the value of that farmers kind of hold in our societies and how they hold the fabric of our communities together, how involved they are, and yeah, I think it's in some ways just like a love letter to that area and that group of people. So, yeah,
I think that's like so true. Like how farmers are like especially like in Wisconsin, like with the Packers. I always
yeah,
we used to joke about it and say like the only thing that other than the farming life is the Packers. Like for a lot of farmers, and some
Yeah.
farmers probably don't have enough time to even worry about. They like watch later to see
Yeah,
if
they
they
watch it
won.
or they hear it in the radios in the barns, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
because they don't have time off like I
Like
do.
the rest of us. Yeah. Yeah,
Sit in my
exactly.
basement and talk to people on the internet. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a great story, and then you mix in the Packer feel to it, and that's
Yeah.
gonna get everyone because
Yeah.
that pulls everyone in. So I was actually gonna ask you this earlier, but I saw Craig T. Nelson. He was a Packers fan.
So he actually had some friends who were Packers. I'm forgetting who they were, but I mean, you're talking like way back. But he had friends who were like pro, on the team, and so he was like they were always kind of my secondary team because he lived in LA for
Yeah,
most of his life, and but yeah, he's a sports, but like he's bananas for sports, so he obviously knew a lot about the organization and that kind of thing. So he was extra, and I think he was excited because it's such a unique organization. It's not like we're doing this for the Philadelphia Eagles or something like that. It's like this is a pretty special how it's structured, how the community is so intertwined to it. He was a big fan of like the farming aspects of it. He had lived off grid for 7 years, so he's just a gnarly guy. Like I don't know
yeah,
anybody who's lived off grid for 7 years, and but yeah, I think what he loved the kind of that almost he called it like Packer mysticism. This like they're sports, but there's something bigger going on than just sports with the organization, and I think he knew that very much so.
yeah. I feel like the Packers are the closest thing to like even if it was a farmer in a different state, they're kind of like the same because like
Mm.
those small family farms that went down generation to generation, kind of the
Yeah,
Packers, they're
the
community
season
owned.
tickets
It's
and
not like
yeah,
some rich person because like
yeah,
I always got annoyed because a lot of the small farms seem to get like this movie's about kind of get pushed out, and then you got these big, basically a factory farm.
yeah,
Um,
exactly, right.
and I do think that's important to keep because I know people who lived on farms and their
Mm.
parents lived on that same farm and like, but a lot of
Yeah.
those farms are in danger
Mm.
of getting
Yeah,
pushed out.
totally. Yeah, there's a heritage element to it. I think that's where it's these things are bigger than they they are. It's not just one thing, and so we tried to draw a lot of parallels. I mean, you're spot on with the heritage of the Packers organization. Also, them being like really excellent at what they do. That was something else we really wanted this farmer, even though he's like struggling to like make ends meet. He's just like everything he does is so precise and so how he wants it, and it's exaggerated. With him milking by hand, plowing by horse, which again, the audience, it's like some folks are just like, nobody does that. It's like, well, okay, yeah, you're right, but this is a movie, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, but yeah, yeah. So
I was saying that to some people because they're like, it's talking about the details of the movie versus like whatever, and I was like, dude, every movie, like stuff that's based on a true story, like whatever
yeah,
uh action movie that you watch, like that's not exactly.
yeah, it's not a documentary here. Yeah,
Yeah, every movie,
yeah,
like every joke has to have an exaggeration. That's what I always
yeah,
say when people try to like pinpoint comedians, like, oh, that wouldn't happen. Like, yeah, it's a joke, it's a comedian. You have to exaggerate for otherwise it's not
totally.
funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that the same thing with movies. But how was it to get the Packers on board? Because the Packers don't play
yeah.
around with their name. Like they
No,
don't like they don't like you start using it in the wrong way. Like even like people who have merch, like a pack, like, no, 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 no,
yeah, no, no,
don't
no, no, no,
they
no.
don't like people messing with their stuff. So how
Yeah.
hard was it to get them involved?
Yeah, we were scared originally at the beginning
Yeah,
because we were like, man, are we okay here? And and again, we weren't we knew we would at a certain point we're gonna have to license NFL footage. We really knew that, and so we didn't know what kind of partnerships we exactly needed even. So a lot of this is like blunt, just naive young filmmakers trying to figure it
yeah,
out. But the NFL came on board really quickly. Leroy Butler gave us this really awesome introduction to NFL films, and they watched an early cut of the film, and they were stoked about it. And we couldn't believe it. We were bracing for like, are they going to respond with a cease and desist or,
yeah. I'm
I
like,
don't
nah,
know.
nah.
I was like, yikes, what are we doing? But at a certain point, we're hanging our ass out in the wind here, so you might as well just go for it. So,
Yeah,
and yeah, but when NFL came back and they were really excited about it, all of a sudden that gave us more hope where we were like, okay, so we had approached the Packers for a couple years. I wrote Gabrielle Dow. She's the kind of head of marketing over there, and I was like, can we do the world's largest premiere at Lambeau? And she's like, you can. It's just going to cost you a ton of money, And so, but they didn't exactly know what to do with us either, and we didn't know what to ask really of them. There wasn't like a real clear. And then what ended up happening, I think the order of it was we got Culver's on board because they have this Thank You Farmers project that they're super just like big pro farming organization. And so when Culver's came on board with their Thank You Farmers project, I think the Packers also then, like some folks, and especially in their corporate partnership team, saw us differently as like, oh, this isn't just these kids messing around with a camera. It was like, okay, this is like a legit thing, and maybe we could try to figure something out with them. So, but yeah, I mean, I like, it was years of conversations, that's not an easy, that's when you think about, that's a long time of emailing people and trying to figure out the right, because I think it's more like we also just didn't have the language for what we wanted from them. We didn't, you just, all this stuff.
Yeah. You don't know how to ask. Like,
I don't know who to ask. And so I had a good laugh with Gabrielle. We had a good laugh at the Lambeau premiere. I was like, I'm so sorry. I hounded you for years about this thing. And I was like, I'm sure I was your most annoying email you would see. But she was so gracious about it. And she was like, no, this is your shot. This is what you're doing. And I can respect that. So,
and so like that was all before the movie was made. So also they don't know like what it's going to be. Like, is it
this was after it.
Oh, was it? So did they see it? And then that's when they kind of.
Yeah, they saw somebody on their corporate partnership team saw it, and because I had emailed their foundation, I think is what it was. Because I was just trying every angle, being like, "You guys like farmers?" And is the foundation supporting farmers? Because I know they're doing stuff for the draft and that kind of thing that would maybe be farm adjacent, and so I think it was somebody on the corporate partnership team that saw it and was like, "This is dope, you guys! Like, not every football team can make a movie like this, or have a movie made about them like this." And so I think that's what it was. We also had cash we could spend with them at that point, which legitimized us too. So but it's the G for us, man. That's a special, growing up as a Packers fan, it's like that red carpet event was an out of body experience for me.
I bet.
I'm driving my uncle's truck into Lambeau Field to park it, like the farm truck, and then, Mark Murphy's there and Craig T. Nelson's there, Craig Culver's there. It was like, what is happening?
It was awesome because like I was standing there and Mark Murphy was there, and I've been close to Mark Murphy a lot of times. I don't think I've ever said hi to him or he heard me or whatever. But like I'm a big Mark Murphy fan, and I was like, I'm gonna say hi to him today, and I didn't want to do anything. I just say hi to him. But then like there was like people talking to him, and then there was a guy. Craig T. Nelson was over somewhere, and he was talking to a guy, and they were laughing. And that guy walked over, started talking to Mark Murphy, and I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's way important. I just bailed. I was like, I'm just gonna walk away.
I'm out of here.
Now I look like I'm just stalking. I'm just standing next to him.
Now you're just standing there. Yeah.
But I can't imagine for like the people who were involved in the movie, like the whole red carpet thing.
Yeah.
Mingling with the good people. I think that'd have been awesome. I just tried to stay back and watch.
No, it was cool. I mean, that was the dream for it, was trying to reimagine like celebrity too. For us, we have such a high regard of farmers, to be able to bring the farmers that were, had opened up their doors to us to film and let them have that, experience. I still haven't had a chance to debrief with all of them. I did a little bit with some of them, be like, what did you think about that? And I think this whole experience has been so bizarre for so many of them. Like I remember one of the farmers' wives when Craig T. Nelson first showed up to their house. It's like it's just me and my brother, and then all of a sudden there's 15 crew, and then there's 20, and then all of a sudden Craig's showing up for a rehearsal, and he jumps out of the car, and she just goes, "Oh my God!" It's just this sweet, like it's such a fun way to bridge these two worlds that are normally, farmers and folks, who are working in entertainment industry. To be able to bring those together is a really special thing.
Yeah. So like, where did you decide like where to where to film and like all the locations? How do you figure that out?
Yeah, it was mostly my brother. So we had kind of basically moved our lives and our wives and kids up to Door County because we knew we were going to shoot around there. And then, but it was kind of just like driving around and meeting folks, and most of this was my brother. And so he would just, he'd get a connection to somebody and say, oh yeah, that family's got a farm and they've got a bunch of young kids and they'd probably be willing to work with you. And so, and then that person would connect you to somebody else, and so it's just a lot of calling and knocking on doors. And, I think because we were from there, though, it made it easy. I think it'd be hard I don't think they would have had the same hospitality to outsiders if it was like a real
Oh
Hollywood
yeah,
crew coming in, But I think the fact we know, you know, like our grandma picked cherries in Door County and
York County's awesome.
yeah.
It's
So
one of my favorite places to go.
it's magical up there. It's so magical.
It's my favorite place to get hammered.
Really? The Fall Over Fest? Do you go to the Fall Over Fest? Is that what it is?
No, I go a few times a year. Me and my wife will find something to do up there. But yeah, I've drank in a lot of that the beer
Where's
over
your
there in
spot up
Norco.
there?
Oh, I like Sturgeon Bay. My wife's mom lives like halfway up to Sturgeon Bay in Door
Oh,
County.
okay.
But
Yep.
when we go up there, usually she'll just pick like a resort, like on some water. We feel fancy
Nice.
for a couple days,
That's
and we
nice.
basically just stay in. Maybe walk around the water a little bit. Let's go back and get hammered.
There you go. Man,
That's
you
how you
sound
do it.
like a Wisconsin person there. Yeah. So, no,
Yeah, we want to get hammered in a different county. Let's go to Door County. But like speaking of like independent movies, like
yeah.
like the movie Friday, right? Ice Cube made that movie back in the day.
Yeah, I remember
And
this.
I remember him telling that story about because they were just in the neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was like in one of the scenes there was like a drunk guy because he refused to move. He's like, I'm not leaving. So I'm assuming on the farm you guys didn't have that problem. You'd have drunks and crack addicts running
We
around.
didn't. No, we didn't. Fortunately, yeah. There's not many of those around, which was nice. Yeah, it was mostly like random animals, like trying to move animals
Oh
around.
yeah, I
Make
never
sure they're
thought
in the
about
right
that.
spot at the right time. I mean, that's one of the three rules of independent film is like you don't do a period piece, which we did in the '90s. You don't bring animals into it, which we have like 200 animals all over the movie. And then you don't work with kids, which we have as well. So we broke all those rules, and I'm trying to think if there's anything. We didn't have anybody who was a real bummer, like
Yeah, I was gonna say, but
spoiling the set or anything. But
what's the like? Do you got any blooper stories? Anything like really funny happened that wasn't used?
oh man,
Anyone fall down a hill or anything?
I'm trying to think if there's any really funny stuff. Most of it was there's some fun outtakes of like Craig and Emmett Walsh at a bar just like laughing about stuff. There's a cool outtake of Craig singing John Prine's Angel from Montgomery, which is pretty awesome. We just couldn't afford to license it. So but I'm trying to think if there's any. I mean, we don't. I think that's the crazy thing about independent film, though, is you don't get a lot of time to. So any of our outtakes was like,
Keep moving on.
so little of it because we're kind of everything where you're just using because you get one or two takes and you're moving on to the next thing and one or two takes, moving on. You're operating at a fast pace.
Dude, that's got to be like such big skill because you hear about like I love watching like behind the scenes of movies. My favorite was like Goodfellas and all this other stuff, and they talk about like scene after scene how many takes they take.
Yeah,
But you can only afford to keep this thing like that's good. Don't screw it up.
Don't screw it up. Yeah, I mean that's the thing and that's one. Some of any performances that I didn't like. It was like I just didn't have another option. We got that take or the other one, and you can kind of cut away from it, but it's also the beauty and kind of the magic in it too. I think all forms of art, when you have limitation, there is some sort of beautiful creative freedom that comes from it. And I mean, our days were scheduled in I think like 10-minute increments. So you're in like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, moving on. It's lightning, but yeah, I don't know. It's a cool experience. I just wish. I wish folks on the outside could come and you could see how the sausage is made because it's an ugly process. It's war in there.
Yeah. Dude, I can't imagine. So like that was your first thing. So did you enjoy it, or is it so stressful and you're just working and you're grinding, or is it something that at the moment you can enjoy, or do you have to wait till after?
Yeah, parts of it. I remember coming home from day one of filming and you're shooting whatever they were, 14-hour days. And I remember coming home and being like, I don't think I can do this anymore. I'm so tired. Because, you're leading up to this thing as you're rehearsing, Craig's flying in, you're moving people around. It's a lot. And so I don't think I enjoyed, there was moments on production that I would enjoy for sure. They were few and far between because most of it's just, it's in like an adrenaline thing. I don't know if, and maybe it's as a first timer, that's how it is. You know how like Malik this year when he was talking about, he's like, I just go in and have fun, man. I just like when I get thrown in, and I'm like, I think that's the right mindset to be in, is you have to have that. But I think it's my rookie season. I'm too young. It was a deer in headlights. So I don't think I was able to enjoy it. I think in the next one I could probably find that groove a little quicker. There's a little less mystery to it. But Steven Spielberg, he blows chunks the first day of shooting every time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of, but yeah, dude, I still get nervous for like podcast stuff, and that's a lot less.
Really?
Even like when I have players on, I remember like I'm in my basement now, but like when I first started, I was down here, but I didn't have this like background and stuff. Yeah. But I would pace. I'd have Tom Crabtree on, and I would walk the whole basement for like an hour before, and like just so nervous. But then once you start, I would get like a little bit comfortable. But I've had podcasts with like players where I totally choked because I used to not do any of them live. Everything was pre-recorded like this one. Yeah. And I've had one like with the backup quarterback for the Packers. Went to the Lions, then he's somewhere else. I butchered his name. Anyway, sorry for that guy. But I had him on, and like halfway through, I like forgot what I was saying. My brain went blank, and like I was so nervous all the time. I'm a little bit better now, but I can't imagine because like my thought is like doing a podcast like a movie, which is totally lesser, obviously. But you get one shot, like Eminem says. You get one shot at one opportunity, like you say. But when it's only takes for each thing that. If you screw it up, you waste too much time, and then you get behind and all that. So like, I can kind of understand that. I mean, I can't understand really, but you know what I mean.
Who's the person that who's like maybe one of your favorite sports players that you've been able to interview?
Clinton Dix was he came to my house. Really? And he was like, and he demanded it.
Really?
He's like, I'll come to your house. I didn't want to be a bother. I'm like, no, it's way out of your way. This was after he got traded to Washington, so it was after that season when he was coming back home to Green Bay to clean up his apartment or whatever and kind of moved all the way out. And he came to my house. I was so nervous that day. I was pacing throughout my house. We had my dogs locked in the basement because I wanted to bark. And we put chairs down on the bottom steps so they couldn't get all the way up to the door and kind of smelled like new people. Yeah. And so I was so nervous about that. But then as we were doing the podcast, I had two microphones, and I didn't have any type because like now you got StreamYard, you got all these different places, Restream, which I use, and they kind of make it easy so an idiot can have a podcast. Yeah. But back then I didn't have that, so I'm using like this audio, streaming service. I don't know how to use it hardly. One of my mics, I realized the closest to him wasn't working. So I'm trying to slide the mic. I have like this ball mic, one of those balls, blue ball mics or whatever, and they kind of pick up all the audio around. So I just kind of scooted that in the middle. Then he's like taking a McDonald's cup and he's tapping it. And I'm just looking at that McDonald's cup, I'm like, that's kind of screwed up the audio. But I don't want to say nothing. I'm not like, stop doing that.
No, I know it. Oh,
but I was just, all those things go in your head. And it was actually good. He made me comfortable, but that was like the one. Like, and then after that, I just, like, I do the streaming thing. So if I have a player on, I do it just like this, like over the internet. Okay. And then I just drink, usually. Yeah. Like I say, I'm the only podcaster that I ever interviewed Preston Smith, and I was half in the bag. Really? I'm not now. It's early. Good, I didn't drink today. So, but like for the players, I get so nervous that Tom Crabtree taught me that. He's like, just have a drink or two. I kind of sometimes go overboard with it.
Yeah, yeah, I see that. What's that? That looks like Charlie Barron's brandy. You
got we got Barron's brandy over. You got to represent for Charlie. You know what I mean? I don't get paid for that, but Charlie, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude,
I'm willing to.
I'll rep that guy. I need some Charlie swag to just because he's helped us out so much, man.
How was that working with him, and like how long was it where he was on set?
He was on set, I think, just one day. So he came in, but it was funny because with the crew with Craig has been around, Emmett Walsh, who's been in almost every single movie across the planet, he was on set for a bunch of days. But when Charlie showed up, the Wisconsin crew they got nervous, like sweaty palms for him. And it was really funny. Yeah, they asked, like, hey, can we go get his autograph? And I was like, didn't you want Craig's or anything like that one, but he was awesome. So yeah, he rolled in and he wrote a lot of his like improv stuff for like if you watch the film 2 or 3 times because it's really underneath, like you'll hear the radio throughout, and some of the stuff he wrote is so funny. But yeah, he was just a pro, man, but it was kind of he was saying it's an unusual experience for him to be in kind of a bigger film setup like that. It's a lot of lights and it's a serious. He's kind of in this serious role, which he's normally not in, and so he said he was a little uncomfortable, just like getting used to that was just took him a little bit, but he did great. Again, it's like we only get a couple takes, but he nailed it. So,
dude, he's so talented, and dude, everyone loves Charlie Barons. I've Ed the Diver, shout out to Ed the Diver. I was with him, and he dives and all that stuff. Charlie Barons went over to do a video with him, so I kind of like the Lambeau Field thing. I was just there hanging out, and and I've talked to Charlie before, like DMs and stuff, or whatever. Yeah. But he seen me and he's like, "Hey, I want to do your podcast," and we started talking. He didn't say it like I've asked him before to do it. So he was like, and he remembered though, and he's like, "Hey, I'll do your podcast." And I thought that was pretty cool. And cool. The fire department was rolling up. Not in their fire trucks, but like in their personal vehicles and stuff. And they wanted to meet Charlie. Everyone knew Charlie was in town. Okay. There's cops coming up. And he went to the police station, I think, after to say hi to them because they all wanted to meet him. He's so good with the people. Everyone loves him. I've never met anyone who was like, that guy sucks.
Yeah.
Like, he's just so cool.
Yeah, he really is. He's a special guy. I mean, it's cool just to have, to have a guy like him be able to get that kind of following and that sort of national. Like even seeing him, he was in that Target commercial, wasn't he? Around was that last year's Super Bowl?
I think he was in some. I know Nicolay Law just did a shout out to Nicolay Law, sponsor. Oh, okay. But he just did him and You Betcha did a Super Bowl commercial. Okay. I think it was for like Wisconsin and the areas that Nicolay Law covers, Midwest areas. But yeah, that's awesome. I want to be a commercial or something. I don't even gotta say. I don't gotta talk. Just put me in the background.
We're gonna get you. We'll get you in the next film. The next film we shoot up there. You gotta keep. You gotta hold me to it. A man's only.
Yeah, I'll just walk by in the background. You know what I mean? Yeah. I won't even look weird. I'm like, start my movie career. You know?
Yeah.
Dude, that stuff is nerve wracking because like I did a TV show on the History Channel. Okay. It was like a history of cheese. They didn't use it. Okay. But I went down there to Madison, and there were so many lights, and then it was like cool because like you ever watch like any of those documentary type shows like the like even Ancient Aliens type shows where it looks like they're like in a dungeon. Yeah, that's what it is. Like I went up this old building, these steps, and then it was just like brick walls and stuff. So like, that's how the background is, not like fake. They just rent out these buildings to do these shows in. And it was a cool experience. They didn't use any. They're like, we're not going to use that. You sucked.
Thanks for coming all the way though. So
but it was cool. Like I stood up too fast and hit the mic, and the mic guy didn't like that. Yeah, and they're like, he's now your mortal enemy. So he just blew his eardrums out.
It is. It's intimidating. I mean, I feel like I get intimidated on sets too a little bit. It's just a lot of bodies. Everybody's sitting there looking at you, and I don't know.
Yeah, it was weird. And that was like peak COVID time. So as soon as I walked in, they like blasted me with like, like come over here in like a hand washing area. And it was like totally like, like serious. And I was just like, all right, dude, I don't know.
That's a big deal, especially on film sets. I mean, because we shot during, it was, kind of on the back half of COVID, but we still had a lot of COVID protocols that we had to abide by for SAG, that union. And they would SAG reps would fly out from Los Angeles, land in Green Bay, drive up to Door County, and just to like hang out and make sure we were doing everything by the book. It's intense.
It was, especially like just walking in for me and not knowing anything, and then right away they would like sanitizing my face. No, it was cool though. No, it was a cool experience. Like right after, like we're not using that. I thought I said some good stuff. They asked a question. They said, "What's one thing that people from Wisconsin put on cheese that people wouldn't expect?" And I said, we don't think about what we're going to put cheese on. We start with the cheese and figure out what we can add to it.
It's brilliant.
That was a good line, I figured. And came off the top of my head, too. I was proud of it. Then I got the email like, not going to happen, boss. But we'll keep you in mind. I feel like I was getting turned down from the car wash job again back like when I was young. But how long is this movie going to be in theaters? I mean,
It,
I don't. First of all,
yeah.
I didn't mean to say it like that, but like, how long do they? How long do you decide like in the movie world? Because I have no idea
Yeah.
about that. How
So
long do they figure that out?
yeah, it's all different. Studios have a very different experience than we do. So I mean, we're just, when you think about all the movies that are out there, what percentage are in theaters? It's such a small amount. So for us to get a theatrical launch was so big, like
Yeah,
unbelievable win for us. Then to have it, initially when they said, yeah, we'll take it to theaters and help get it out there. I was expecting, maybe 200 theaters because they have to say yes to it. They don't just they don't force them to play the movie.
uh,
And but we had, I forget what it was, like 960 or something said yes to it, and a bunch in Canada, which I couldn't believe. The
wow.
Canadians were just, yeah, they were. We didn't perform that well up there, but the theaters thought they would love it at least. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I thought
but
so.
but yeah, but it's gone on. I think we're only guaranteed 4 to 7 days per each of those 900 theaters, and then I
Oh,
think I think at the end of it, a bunch re-upped for the next week, and then we're heading into another week here. Depending on when this show goes on. I don't know how long they might just keep re-upping it here. Who
yeah. I mean, I
knows? They're
assume if people.
Wisconsin.
I wasn't sure if it was like a allotted amount of time. Like, hey, we like every movie. I have no idea how movies work. If
It's
they're
like a
like,
profitability thing for them. It's
yeah,
like
if it
if
keeps
if they're
working,
selling
then why
tickets.
not?
Yeah, yeah. There might be some kind of extended thing where it's, if it's on streaming platforms, I'm sure it's just not profitable anymore. That kind of thing. Um, but but yeah, for now we're doing good. We're hanging in the fight. Yeah.
Dude, I think it's awesome. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about it, but you spoke about streaming. So
Yeah.
after like the theater thing or whenever that, when do you expect it to be on streaming and where? How do you make that happen?
Yeah, that's all like being negotiated now. So that those streaming deals are negotiated based on your theatrical performance. So again, that's like one of the scary things about going theatrically. The downside that can be if you come out and flop is that your streaming deals are like, ooh, I don't know if
Yeah,
we want to take a risk on that one. But we're doing okay. We're getting decent enough play, and so yeah, those are all being negotiated now. Likely in the spring. It'd be awesome if it can fully be in full swing around the NFL draft. That would be a dream for us.
yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. For now, we're just kind of day by day, seeing how it goes in theaters, negotiating with streaming, and yeah, see what
I think you
happens.
guys should have like a watch party at like at Lambeau Field. Just
That's what
fill
I'm
up
saying.
Lambeau
We
Field
we might try to
and play
do
the
we.
movie.
That's what we could do, the world's largest movie showing at Lambeau. I know it. I know we could. We could get
Yeah.
80,000 people. I think you only have to do. I think it's only like 50,000 to break it. So that's
I
we
think
can.
that'd be. I think that I'll talk to my people.
You talk to your people. If you can help me rally that one, we're trying
I
to
got no
do.
people. I'll talk to my
Oh
wife.
man, yeah. But we're trying to do a summer showing at, because Titletown does those summer movie nights,
Yeah.
and so I think we're gonna try to line one of those up, which would be really fun.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I think it's a cool movie, cool idea.
Yeah,
It's
thanks.
awesome that you guys were able to like get it going, and I think that's
Yeah,
great because like
thanks.
to me it seems like impossible. Even if you have all the talent in the world,
Yeah,
to like get to that level, to get a movie made, get stars
yeah,
to want to be in the movie, and then to get into theaters and like to get all
yeah.
that going, and not
No,
have a big board of directors and a bunch of
yeah.
billionaires behind you.
No, we're definitely. It's like we got a good team, but it's pretty grassroots. Like my mom was printing off posters for us and running them over to Eagle River, Wisconsin. It's like it's pretty grassroots, but also that it's special that way too, because you get to share in the whole experience, and we're learning it too for the next opportunities as well. So grateful for all of it.
That's awesome. Like, do you want to speak on your next ideas of that might be coming up, or those ain't final enough where you want to talk about it?
We got an 1800s lumberjack musical we're pretty excited about, which sounds silly, but I think it could be pretty gnarly and pretty awesome. Um, yeah, but we'll see. There's some other, like there's a few other projects we're in development on. Actually, another one with an NFL player, who was a rugby. He played pro rugby and in the NFL, grew up on a junkyard, and pretty gnarly story. But yeah, so I think we're always kind of, there's a lot of ideas cooking. It's just, at this point, it's hard. This is, I've explained it like this, where, when you watch people come into the NFL, they get a chance to play. This is like our first chance to be able to play pro ball.
Yeah.
And some guys get benched, some guys get injured, some guys, their careers kind of, and then other people just keep going and going and going and make careers out of it. So we're kind of at that's the precipice that we're at, and seeing how it goes. 9 out of 10 movies lose money. It's a nasty business, man. That's a tough, when you're pitching to investors, say like 90% of these are going down.
Yeah, so we definitely. Yeah. I was going to mention this earlier. I didn't. Culver's, like you kind of mentioned, they gave you some money. They kind of helped out with this. So Culver's helps out a lot. I didn't realize how much they helped out farmers. I love Culver's. Like,
yeah, dude, you and me both, man.
I believe it.
It's everybody's like, oh, you had to go to the corporate partnership. It's like, well, it's partly a passion project for me. I love Culver's.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've been eating. We affectionately know them as the Vers. I think I mentioned that at Lambeau, which I was hoping that Craig Culver was going to be cool with. I didn't want to offend anybody, but it's just, we just love them, as we've grown up, eating it. And yeah, when they came on board, man, that was one of those, I was saying at the beginning, getting an investor on board, getting Craig T. Nelson on board. When Culver's came on board, that was kind of another kaboom that happened, where it just legitimized us in a way. And the fact that they are obsessed with farmers, obsessed with Wisconsin too, it was just a match made in heaven for us. And so they've even been really awesome with, at the end of the film, I don't know if you stay long enough in the credits, you can actually give a kickback to their Thank You Farmers project. And that goes to like FFA kids, which, my cousins were a part of that. And FFA is just a legacy, young farming organization. And so to me, that's another, just like, what a blessing this project has become, that I couldn't have really had foresight, back years ago for it. But when Culver's, they unlocked for us, not just cash for us to scale theatrically, but like this, they kind of kept the soul of it intact too, in a really cool way. So,
I think that's awesome. I love Culver's even more now. So did they hook up the crew with Culver's? Did they hook up food? I don't know how close you were to a Culver's, because over there.
Well, because again, this was all after we had filmed, so we had the film in the can, so we didn't. Otherwise, that would have been a good idea for craft services if we would have got them on before. If we could have all been Culver's for 20 days in a row. But no, they were running a cool deal though on Fandango, where if you buy a movie ticket, you get a free concrete mixer, which is kind of that's a pretty good deal.
So. Yeah, it is. So shout out to Culver. I was trying to get him as a sponsor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, I gotta fire some emails around. You gotta. You're already helping them right now. So
yeah, what I mean, I like Culver's. I do think it's really cool, like how they give back, because obviously farmers mean so much to every restaurant, and then Culver's being so huge to like give back and to help, the people that work so hard to get them their food. And I don't know how it works with restaurants, if they have like their own kind of farms that they always get their stuff from. How that works, but
I don't know how the supply chain exactly works, but I mean, I think they do try to prioritize a lot of really farm fresh foods, and as much as they can for being fast food. Again, that's beyond my realm of expertise.
Yeah, I know, right? We start breaking down the restaurant business.
I don't really know. But it tastes good and it tastes fresh. That's all I know. So.
Dude, I think Culver's is like one of the few restaurants that I can go to and order different things. Yeah. Like if I go to another fast food restaurant, like especially like the national ones. Yeah. We don't want to give them no plug, but it's always the same thing, because like I can tolerate one thing from that menu, but like Culver's, there's so many options that that I can dig with.
Yeah, man, you and me both, man. We should, next time I'm in Green Bay, we got to meet up there.
Yeah, we'll meet up at Culver's, and we could do a Charlie Barron style video over there.
I know you.
I think it's funny because like my mom I see her, like she'll share Charlie Barron stuff on Facebook, and I'm like, you don't share my stuff. She's like, yeah, but he's funny. So I think I up my game a little bit and try to leech out Charlie Barron style.
There you go, man. Definitely.
But everyone, be sure to check out Green and Gold. Depending on when we post this, It should still be in theaters though, and maybe coming to streaming next. So keep your eyes peeled. If you already saw it in the theaters, you might want to see it again at home.
Definitely.
It's a fantastic movie. I appreciate you
Mm.
joining me. Is there anything
Thanks.
that you want people to know before we wrap this thing up?
No, I think I would just say just a huge thank you to so many folks around Wisconsin. Like the community support around this film. I'm getting videos of just lines out the doors of theaters there. It slaps in Wisconsin there, and we've been so grateful. Honestly, it's like held us in the game, and held us, where it's like proved to theaters that we're a legit thing. So, just a huge, just thank you from all on behalf of all the filmmakers and the farmers.
Yeah, and thank you from all the people watching. I think it's awesome that not just a Packers, but a Wisconsin-based movie. It's a good story. It's a wholesome story.
Yeah.
It's there's nothing bad about it. So I think it's awesome that we got something to represent. I like to represent Wisconsin. Anything happening here, I'm trying to represent that. So I'll do anything I can. Man. Anything you need from me, let me know.
Thank you,
go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go, baby. I love it.